لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك الملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Happy Eid al-Kabir celebrations. I'm Fatima Umar Hadeja, welcoming you to yet another edition of the program as you answer the call. It is a program that keeps you abreast of the happenings of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, Nahcon, especially at this period of the Hajj, when all eyes are on Saudi Arabia, where about 65,000 Nigerians are performing this year's Hajj, alongside pilgrims from other parts of the world. On the program tonight, we will be talking about the defining moments of the Hajj, particularly the stay at Muna and the visit by pilgrims to observe prayers and supplications on Mount Arafat. Also in the package, Acting Chairman of Nahcon commends airliners for a successful airlift operation of Nigerian pilgrims to Saudi Arabia and calls for a repeat performance when the homeward journey begins. These and more shortly. Stay with us. Thanks for being there. As usual, we'll begin the program with the news diary. Top stories on the lineup. Nahcon holds stakeholders meeting in Mecca, just as the acting chairman of the Hajj Commission urges airliners to remain focused when the journey back home by Nigerian pilgrims begins. Here are the details of these and more as presented from our studio.
The acting chairman of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, Nahcon, has described the phase 1 of the 2019 airlift of pilgrims to Saudi Arabia as being successful. He spoke in an interview shortly before the delegation of Hajj officials left the country for Saudi Arabia.
The 2019 Hajj airlift phase 1 is quite successful. Although, like any other human endeavor, there are areas that are naturally challenging. But we thank God that we are able to overcome all those challenges, and almost all the pilgrims that paid their money through the states and whose money was remitted to the Commission, visa processed, have been successfully airlifted.
Barrister Abdullah Mukhtar also said that all arrangements of the phase 2 of the exercise, which involves coordinated movement of pilgrims to Muna, Arafat and back to Mecca, have also been perfected to ensure that Nigerian pilgrims perform the Hajj rite successfully and without hitches. He also disclosed some of the measures that have been taken to ensure that the phase 3 of the 2019 Hajj exercise, which involves the airlift of pilgrims back to Nigeria, is completed successfully.
All the airlines approved by the government to participate in the operation, particularly the giant ones among them, have all their aircraft ready for the return journey. And the return journey will be well coordinated. It's a movement that involves departure from one airport, unlike the outbound, that involves about 15 departure centers. So there will be a lot of strict coordination to make sure that people are not subjected to unnecessary and undue hardship. So there will be proper synergy, teamwork, planning between the Commission, the State Board and the airlines, as well as the regulatory agencies of Saudi governments that are involved.
Barrister Abdullah Mukhtar thanked President Muhammadu Buhari, the leadership of the National Assembly and all other stakeholders for their support and efforts to make the 2019 Hajj exercise a successful one.
If
I get you right.
As part of its plan to review the first phase of its operations, the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, Nahcon, held a pre-Arafat meeting in Mecca. The meeting offers stakeholders the opportunity to do some stock-taking on all arrangements made for the stay in Muna, Arafat and Muzdalifah. Key stakeholders at the meeting include members of the committee set up by Nahcon, executives of state pilgrims welfare boards, tour operators, as well as the ulama, among others.
Because people who come from Nigeria.
In his welcome address, Nigerian Ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Ambassador Muhammad Isa Dudu, commended Nahcon and other stakeholders for making Nigeria proud, calling on Nahcon to double its efforts in order to record more successes.
The previous year, the Hajj Commission worked very hard and they achieved very much. And now, I hope we will do more to achieve more.
Chairman House Committee on Pilgrims Affairs, Honorable Abubakar Nalaraba, also made his remarks on the activities of Nahcon staff at the airport and the quality of pilgrims accommodation in Medina.
Your ground staffs at the airport did a marvelous job by coordinating all the Nigerian pilgrims from the point of arrival to the buses and final destinations to the accommodation. This is quite commendable, Mr. Chairman. Secondly, I would like to also commend your effort for providing a befitting accommodation in Medina, especially the Markazia, which make pilgrims from Nigeria to perform their religious rite at ease.
Speaking at the event, Nahcon Acting Chairman Barrister Abdullah Mukhtar Mohammed said, the collective efforts of all stakeholders in Hajj operations has always been instrumental to the successes recorded during the first phase of the airlift of pilgrims. He then urged them to sustain the tempo through the Hajj.
Hajj is multi-institutional. Hajj needs the collaboration of all government agencies that are involved. The successes we have recorded in the phase 1 is not one man or one organization effort, it's our collective effort. I urge us all to sustain that collaboration so that we'll have successful outing during the core Hajj rites and then we'll have successful return back home.
While making his remarks, Nahcon Commissioner of Operations Abdullah Modibo Sali expressed satisfaction that all Nigerian pilgrims registered for the 2019 Hajj have been airlifted to Saudi Arabia and have visited Medina.
100% of airlift, not even a single pilgrim of Nigeria from the state and officials was left behind. And that for the first time actually we have also made one achievement. It has been an ambition to see that every Nigerian goes into Medina first. Although with challenges and difficulties from time to time, we have succeeded this year, except for a number of a few people who on their own decided to do otherwise. We can say the logistics, the plans and everything had worked out successfully, and that we can say 100% Nigerians have started with Medina.
In his presentation, Nahcon Head of Medical Team Dr. Ibrahim Kana said, this year the Commission introduced the use of caravan service in Muna and Arafat in order to attend to the medical needs of pilgrims without much delay. While confirming the death of 8 Nigerian pilgrims, he said that there was no case of miscarriage or outbreak of diseases.
In Mina and Arafat.
There were also briefings from the heads of Turadudiya and Jamrat, Nahcon ICT and the National Ulama team. Questions, comments and observations were made by other participants at the meeting. Nahcon is expected to hold another round of meeting after the completion of Mashair activities. It is known as post-Arafat meeting. In continuation with its training exercise for newly recruited staff, the National Hajj Commission organized an induction program on economic and financial crimes held under the auspices of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC). The training is in line with the resolve of the federal government to eradicate corruption and instill accountability in all public institutions in Nigeria, and a testimony of Nahcon's commitment to ensure that its staff are equipped to handle public resources transparently. The 5 days program, which took place at the main auditorium of the EFCC Academy, Karu, Abuja, is basically targeted at giving the new staff the standard knowledge on detecting corruption, adherence to extant laws of corruption and ethical standards.
Keep them abreast.
Speaking in an interview, the course coordinator, who is also the director in charge of finance studies of the EFCC Academy, Joseph Agui, says the training will impact the work of the inductees positively.
It will add a lot of value to their life, far even beyond their life in their operations in the commission. I believe it's going to change their perception towards workplace, their perception towards the way they carry out their work, and again to keep them on check.
Some of the inductees also commended Nahcon for putting them through the training, saying it will indeed positively impact their work.
What they really taught us was to be very careful, especially when it comes to security, especially when it comes to dealing with the pilgrims.
My only little understanding is how to tackle corruption, you know, what we should and we shouldn't do, things we should avoid.
The training started on the 5th of August and ended on the 9th of August 2019.
MashaAllah. If you are just tuning in, the program is As You Answer the Call, a public enlightenment presentation on the activities of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, Nahcon. Coming shortly is our next segment, Making the Hajj and Umrah. Tonight, we focus on the defining moments of the Hajj, the stay in Muna and Mount Arafat. How was it like for Nigerian pilgrims performing the Hajj? Stay tuned for the details.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة.
Staying at the plains of Arafat is the most important pillar of the Hajj, which every pilgrim must observe as a condition to earn a complete Hajj. This is why the Arafat is being referred to as the Hajj itself. As usual, Nigerian pilgrims join other pilgrims from different parts of the world to observe the Arafat and other Hajj rites. Prior to the Arafat day on the 8th of Zulhijjah, all pilgrims proceeded to the plains of Muna in anticipation of the Arafat day. The plains of Muna is on the outskirts of Mecca and approximately 8 kilometers to the east of the holy city. Being a place associated with the Hajj, Muna has its own history.
The history is because the Prophet has done it the way Allah has asked him to do it. And that is why coming to Mina, it is one aspect of Hajj which marked the commencement of Hajj itself. The Prophet ﷺ tells us that Al-Hajj or Al-Arafah, that Hajj is Arafah itself.
What are those Hajj rites expected from pilgrims while at Muna on the 8th of Zulhijjah?
The pilgrim is commanded to stay within the area called Arafah from the time of Dhuhr to the time of Maghrib, pronouncing Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik, pronouncing Allahu Akbar, reading recitation of the Quran, saying the Takbir, saying the Ta'meed and all other adhkar that were instituted as parts of the religious rites of the Muslim.
After spending the night in Muna, the pilgrims head to Mount Arafat. It is nearly 20 kilometers east of Mecca. This was on Saturday, the 9th of Zulhijjah, which is equivalent to the 10th of August 2019. Nigerian pilgrims were among the millions of pilgrims who performed the Arafat rites. Being the most important part of Hajj, what then is the meaning and history of the Arafat?
Arafah is one of the pillars of Hajj. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, Al-Hajju Arafah, meaning Arafah is the most significant pillar of Hajj.
Furthermore, pilgrims are expected to be at Arafat from sunrise to sunset, making different forms of supplications. As a tradition of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, Nahcon, a national prayer is organized every year. This year, the tradition was also observed. Prior to the prayers, there were speeches by Hajj officials and other stakeholders.
As contingent of our dear nation, to use the opportunity to pray for the economic growth, security, stability of our dear nation, to pray for our dear President Muhammadu Buhari, for Allah to continue to grant him good health, long life, and bless him with able lieutenants that will help him to lead our country to greater heights.
May we appreciate and thank and also pray for those that have organized our accommodation at the different places, our feeding, our security, our sanitation, and our medical health well-being.
With the completion of the Arafats and spending the night at Muzdalifah on Sunday morning, the pilgrims then proceeded to Jamrat for the first round of throwing pebbles at the 3 Jamrat pillars. Other Hajj rites performed on that day include Tawaf, Sa'i, shaving, and animal sacrifice. Pilgrims are expected to go back to Muna and spend the next 3 days, that is, the 11th, 12th, and 13th, otherwise known as Ayyamut Tashriq. After completing the Ayyamut Tashriq, pilgrims would then move back to Mecca, which marks the end of the Hajj. But on the day they are leaving Mecca for their various countries, they are to perform another Tawaf. This Tawaf is called Tawaf al-Wada, or the farewell Tawaf.
Alhamdulillah, you're still watching as you answer the call. Much earlier in the program, we brought to you the report of the meeting of Hajj stakeholders held in Mecca under the auspices of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, Nahcon. The stay in Muna and Mount Arafat as a fulfillment of Hajj obligations also featured. Up next is Hajj Talk, and our guest, Imam Al-Hassan Yaqub, will be discussing an important aspect of the Hajj, the act of throwing pebbles at the 3 walls called Jamrat, which in literal sense is called the stoning of the devil. The discussion will focus on the history and import of this ritual. Now the details.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة.
Stoning or pelting of the 3 Jamrat pillars is an essential part of the Hajj rite. Pilgrims are to carry out this Hajj rite from the 10th to the 13th of Zulhijjah. The 3 Jamrat pillars to be pelted are Jamra Kubra, Jamra Wuzda, and Jamra Shugra. On Hajj Talk tonight, Imam Al-Hassan Yaqub explains more about the pelting of the 3 types of Jamra and how it is being performed.
We have 3 types of Jamarat. The first one that is facing, towards the Mina is called Jamratul Sugura. A small Jamra. It's a symbol symbolizing the area where Prophet Ibrahim, this episode that happened through the last 7 pebbles at the Shaitan. The second one, Jamratul Wusta, the middle Jamra. From the first one to the second one is about 150 meters. You trek down to the second one. Then from the middle one to the Jamratul Aqaba, which is the big Jamra, and the last, the one towards Mecca, is Jamratul Aqaba, which is the only one that the pilgrims are, expected to perform their stoning on the Salah day, that is on the 10th day of Zulhijjah.
What is the significance of throwing of pebbles at Jamra?
It shows servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, commitment, trying to, do away, to free yourself from the temptations of Shaitan. It signifies Shaitan. It's not the Shaitan that is there. There are now 3 symbols, exactly where the Prophet Abraham threw the 7 pebbles at the Shaitan. These pillars are now erected over the years, about 1,440 years ago now. Since then, every year, thousands, millions of people are coming all over the world, regardless of their background, ethnicity, nationality, color, and race.
Where are the pilgrims supposed to collect their pebbles?
It is actually allowed to collect the pebbles anywhere, but you can, if it is easier for you to collect in Muzdalifah, but not as you arrive. That's one common mistake that some pilgrims used to do. As they arrive Muzdalifah, you are expected to perform
to ablution and pray Maghrib and Isha. You understand? You now find time, relax, and then go and pick. It's not the priority. The first thing that you're supposed to do in Muzdalifah is to pray Maghrib and Isha. Then after that, even maybe after eating, after then relaxing, you can now find the distance. But anywhere, even at the spot of Jamarat area, if you see the stone somewhere, you can pick them. But make sure you can even pick from Mina before you reach there. Anywhere, the most important thing is getting the right size, of the pebbles you are supposed to, and it should be, pebbles, not rubber, not anything.
How is the spiritual act supposed to be performed, and with how many pebbles?
It is expected that you prepare yourself with 70 pebbles. 70. 7 in the first day, that is 10th of Zulhijjah, which will use to stone Jamratul Aqaba. The following day, 21 pebbles, that is 11th of Zulhijjah. These 21 pebbles, 7 at the Jamratul Ula, that is at Sugra, the first one, which is called the small. Then the middle one, which the third one, 21 plus 7. You have about 28. The following day, you also come with 21. 7, 7, 7. Then if you decide to go on the second day, you end up stoning 47. You finish 47 stone. But if you delay till the third day, then you are going to throw 70 pebbles.
Are there prescribed supplications that pilgrims are expected to offer at the Jamra pillars?
Generally, there is a general dua, Allahumma ja'alhu hajjan mabaruran wa dhanban maghfuran wa sa'yan mashkuran. Normally, it is anywhere you move around as you are performing your Hajj, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this Hajj to be an acceptable and righteous Hajj, and which the sins are forgiven, and with the efforts are accepted. All your efforts, you are hoping that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept it from you. All the sort of Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina azabannar. These are some of the acceptable dua that you can do it during the Hajj. But there is no specific somebody to write a book to say these are the only dua you perform here. No.
Is it compulsory for a pilgrim to perform the ritual irrespective of their condition?
There are reasons that can prevent one from going to cast this or stone these pillars. These reasons are given by scholars, Muslim scholars. First of all, when one is sick or is ill, that cannot, do it himself, he can now assign a representative, another pilgrim who is healthy, can go and do it. And the condition is that that person is also performing pilgrimage, and then he should perform his own personal one first. The pilgrim who is representing another person will do his own at a spot and at the spot, and then he will now do for the sick person. Another excuse is old age. An old man or woman that cannot, is very, is very tedious. One of the most tedious aspects of rituals in Hajj. This is this throwing at Jamarat. So he is also exempted. A pregnant woman who is having difficulty, that cannot, because of the crowd, millions of people moving together at the same time to perform this act. So for fear of what will happen to her and the struggle, so she is exempted. So also disabled person.
Imam Yaqub advises that pilgrims stick to the timetable allocated to them by the Saudi authority when going to carry out the Jamra rites. The idea is for the protection of lives and crowd control, which Islam allows.
That's it on this week's edition of the program As You Answer the Call. Join me again same time next week for another package. Good night and thank you for watching.
شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك الملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك الملك